This is the Vacation Rental Success Podcast, keeping you up to date with news, views, information and resources on this rapidly changing short-term rental business. I'm your host, Heather Bayer, and with 25 years of experience in this industry, I'm making sure you know what's hot, what's not, what's new, and what will help make your business a success. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Success Podcast. This is your host, Heather Bayer, and as ever, super delighted to be back with you once again for episode 625. Wow, seems like yesterday we started back, 10, 11, maybe 12 years ago, and here we go, 625. And when we started back then, we were just talking about the beginnings of Airbnb, and look how far we've come. Now we're talking about I am talking a lot about AI. And in today's episode, I'm really excited about this one because, number one, it's a solo episode. And while I absolutely love talking to my guests, I do also like doing these solo episodes where I can share some of my excitement about things that are going on and share what I'm doing in this AI world of short-term rentals now. So yes, it's solo and it's about AI. And if you're a short-term rental property manager or a host and you're curious about AI but not quite sure where to start, you are absolutely in the right place. So in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through 5 quick wins to use AI in your business. The importance of building a knowledge base before diving into things like setting up your standard operating procedures. And that's really important. I talk to so many operators who have their knowledge base firmly entrenched in their heads. And I know I actually had this for 20 years. It was all in my head. And I didn't really document it. And so we're going to be talking about that because you can't really use AI to its full extent without documenting your knowledge. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to use AI tools like custom GPTs and Claude projects to scale your systems. So this episode's about action. You don't need any tech wizardry. This is just some clear steps, some simple tools, and ideas that you can use today. But first of all, before we get into any specific use cases, which I'm going to be talking about, I just want to mention a simple, really powerful mindset, and that is start with AI. It's something I talked about with Steve Trover in an episode earlier this year. And you almost have to train yourself to do it. I still do. I forget. So I have sticky notes on my desktop. It's a pop-up, a little sticky note pop-up on my laptop, and it just says AI first. And what that means is that instead of doing a task the old-fashioned way and only turning to AI when you hit a wall, what if you just flip that? What if you made it a habit to begin every single task you do by asking, how could AI help with this? Or even better, you could ask the AI. You could simply say, hey, ChatGPT, here's what I'm trying to do. Can you help me with the first step? I've just started to do this recently because I'm still in that mindset of, maybe because of 25 years of creating stuff myself and doing all my outlines and doing all my content and everything, that I still start with downloading what's in my brain onto a Google Doc or something like that. But instead of it now, I download that exact same stuff into ChatGPT, and I'll say, hey, ChatGPT, here's what I'm trying to do. Can you help me with the first step? This is not dehumanizing you in any way. This is making work smarter, more efficient, more time efficient overall. And it makes your workflow lighter and faster, and often makes you much more creative. You're not just saving time, you're getting input, you're getting structure, and you're getting momentum from the very beginning. And still to this day, after what is it? It's 2.5 years that I've been using this stuff on a daily basis. I still get that wow reaction just about every day. Try it with writing an email, planning a property owner pitch. You could draft a team announcement or create a to-do list for a busy day. Anything that you're doing, when you bring AI in at the beginning, it becomes a partner, not just a fixer. And the more you practice this, the more natural and productive it becomes. And I know there's a lot of AI detractors out there and people who talk about the fact that AI is dehumanizing us and it's taking away our natural voice. But as I talk through in this episode, you'll see that it actually is not. It's you can create in your own voice. And I don't feel dehumanized in any way. I just feel lighter. I don't have that burden of just all these things I need to do, because I know that things that used to take me hours now take me minutes, and in some cases seconds. And that to me is a huge benefit. It's not taken away my creativity. It's not taken away my humanness. I can still sit here and do my podcast just like this, and you're getting all my humanness. And then after that, I'll probably go and write some content using AI to help me out. But we'll talk about that later, because we're going to talk later about using voice rather than typing, because that just streamlines it even more. So let's just start off with some quick win ideas for AI in your business. Just some really simple things you could practice with today. And you don't have to rebuild your business at all to start using AI. You just get on with it. Before I start with this, I know many of you have this type of assistance already. It's built into your PMS, or you might use a platform like Boom or Enzo Connect, and these are fantastic platforms. So it's perfect if you have them, and you should use the features that are in there. And more of the vendor products and services are offering automated responses and guest messaging, along with many other features. But what I'm suggesting here is simply trying it out for yourself if you're so inclined, even if you have all this bunch of stuff already built in. It's really good to know, because it gives you that background of knowledge of what you can actually achieve. So number one, I have a guest messaging assistant. And that's using ChatGPT or Claude to write templated responses to FAQs. Things like Wi-Fi, what's the Wi-Fi code, what time is check-in, can I get an early check-in, can I get a late check-out, all those questions. And I still see messages on forums from hosts complaining about getting the same questions over and over again. I remember this. I think what happened is somebody was looking for a property. They would list all the things they wanted, and then they would just copy and paste that list into every email they sent. And even if half of the things on the list were clearly stated on the listing. But, I mean, for me, this was making the guest's life easier. They didn't have to knock things off a list because it was in a listing to make it easier for the manager. It was easier for them. And that's the way I always looked at it. But it was frustrating. And that can be resolved by having all those responses ready to go. You have an FAQ list, and then the guest messaging assistant just calls on that to write the response. I've lost count of the number of times I've asked a host or a manager if there's a tea kettle in a place that I've booked. It's really important to me. And that's just one of the myriad of questions that will come your way. So doing this is super, super helpful. Then your messaging assistant could draft friendly pre-arrival or mid-stay check-in messages. And here's a pro tip: feed in your past messages that you created yourself or your team created, and then ask the AI just to match the tone. So the second one is a review response helper. I've seen this a lot recently, people talking about the powerful information that's included in all the reviews they've got over time. But that's such a hefty task to go through every review that you've ever had for a specific property and then pull out what is it that people really love, Or are there any issues that are coming up over and over again that you perhaps don't see as something that is a problem unless you see it on numerous reviews for the same property? So you could go back through all your past reviews and ask the review helper to pinpoint any specific issues that stand out, that's been mentioned over and over again. But you can also paste in your reviews and just let AI write a professional response. Ask it to make it sound human, to make it sound kind, and brand aligned. And that is really great for those awkward, let's say, 3-star reviews, if you ever get any of those. But sometimes people will say things in reviews that you get a knee-jerk reaction to. I used to. In the past, I would sit there and hammer out my response, and then I would do the good thing, let it sit overnight, and then go back to it. But if you just let the AI write that in a professional tone at the very outset, it saves you a lot of time and a lot of angst. So AI is really good for doing all sorts of things with reviews. Now, here's one I would have liked when I was running my property management business, and that's an owner outreach copy assistant. So you ask the AI to draft a new owner onboarding email or a property pitch. You ask it to rewrite existing copy to sound more confident or concise. And then use it as a brainstorming buddy when you're stuck. Hey, Claude, I want to attract new owners. Give me 5 ways of doing this and make at least 2 of them unique. And then create a PDF for my owner outreach. So super helpful for any owner outreach and for creating some unique things that maybe you haven't thought of before. Social media, this is number 4, social media content buddy. You can ask AI to generate 10 post ideas. It will do it in seconds. Give it the topic, give it your brand, voice and tone, and give it plenty of examples of previous posts you've done. AI needs examples. It can't just generate something and know inherently how you want it to sound. You have to tell it. Repurpose old content into new formats. And I love this one. I've got over 624 podcast episodes, 625 after this one. So I've loaded all the transcripts into Claude. Now I have the back catalogue, and that can help me out with any post that I'm thinking of doing, because it will bring up what the people I've talked to have said and give me some great quotes. That is exceptionally helpful. And you could do the same with old blog posts or newsletters. Don't forget, all that content that you've done in the past is not done and dusted. AI can bring it out, bring it up to date, redo it with a more up-to-date voice. So number 5 in this 5 quick wins is a listing optimization coach. And you simply drop your listing description into the platform and say, how can I improve this to increase bookings? Ask for different headline options or better description of amenities. So these are 5 suggestions, all low risk, fast, can save you hours per week. You could think of them as your AI training wheels. And if you go back to what I was saying about, you may already have many of these in your PMS or in standalone platforms. But it's really worthwhile, if you want to practice and test out your AI skills, to do something simple like this and just take an hour out of the day and choose one platform. Don't flip-flop from all the different platforms. Choose ChatGPT, choose Claude, choose Gemini, choose Perplexity, whichever one you want to use. My go-to is ChatGPT. It's the first one that I started with, and although I do use some of the other LLMs for different tasks, I still always roll back to ChatGPT. So next thing I want to talk about, and maybe, I'm going to backtrack a bit, because if you want AI to do any meaningful work for you, like writing standard operating procedures, which is fantastic at, or handling any task, it's got to know your business. and you have to build your knowledge base. So I mentioned earlier about keeping knowledge in your head and documenting it. Your knowledge base is the internal documentation of your business. It's how you think, it's how you operate, it's what matters to you. So a few things to include, your guest messaging style. And like I said before, include examples. Maybe some standard cleaning checklists, your brand tone. AI needs to know if you're playful, if you're warm, if you're direct, if you want to be formal and professional. It needs to know this. Document your mission, how you want guests to feel. List out your values. Put in your policies, the check-in, check-out, cancellations, how you handle damage disputes, any templates you've got, templates for review responses, for emails, for owner updates. And then, very, very important, details about your target audience and your typical properties, what you're out there looking for. For example, if you're creating some owner outreach material, then you need to tell the AI what properties you have in your portfolio and what you're looking for. It's got to have all that information to be able to draw on. You've probably heard stories about AI hallucinating, making things up. Well, without context, yes, of course, it's going to make stuff up. It's been trained to be helpful and to be useful. And if you don't give it that information that allows it to be that type of assistant, it will go off and make it up. It will hallucinate. I've seen this time after time. It's actually one of the reasons, and I should have mentioned this at the very outset, is that you never take the output from your chats with any of the platforms as the final product. You have to check it, you have to proof it, and you also have to add in a little bit of your own touches, maybe some stories, things that make it sound like you and not sound like AI. The whole business of sounding like AI is it's a little outdated now because most of the platforms allow you to train it in your own voice. And even though there are certain aspects of it now that are still annoying, you've probably heard about the M dash or ellipses or just these styles of writing that ChatGPT in particular was trained on in the very first place. This is the way you should write. And it became very common with everything that anybody wrote when it was output directly from ChatGPT, that it would have all these grammatical features, if you like. I used to use M dashes. I'm a writer. I used to use M dashes. I used ellipses and multiple other types of grammar. I've had to change a little bit so I wouldn't be accused of just being AI because of them. But, it is changing. It really is changing. The output is getting better and better. And in general, as long as you do check it, as long as you do proof it and put some of your own touches on it, it's going to sound good. So just going back on that, what to include in your knowledge base, this is the context, because without it, you're just going to get generic results. But when you include that context, you get work that sounds and feels like you. So how do you create your knowledge base? Well, you're going back to use old school stuff, Google Docs, Notion. I use ClickUp. I have a knowledge base in ClickUp. Whatever you currently use to store business material, then go ahead and use that. You might use Dropbox. That seems a little outdated, though. I don't know. I haven't used Dropbox for years. And when you're creating it, because it does seem like a big job at the outset, but start with voice dictation. Using ChatGPT voice, it used to be known as advanced voice. It's now just ChatGPT voice. It is the most underrated and powerful features available in the ChatGPT Plus plan. You just open the mobile app, you hold down the microphone button, and then you have a real-time conversation with your AI assistant, and it's just like talking to a person. If you haven't done this, just go give it a try. It's perfect for when you're on the move, if you're going between properties, sitting in your car after a guest check-in, and you want to make some notes. I use voice all the time, particularly if I'm going for a walk with a dog. Well, in fact, this whole episode, the plan for it was created while I was out for a walk with the dog. My general AI assistant in ChatGPT is called Lucy. Most people do have. Those who are using ChatGPT, they do call it something, they give it a name. And I will say, hi, Lucy, open it up, hi, Lucy. And she will say, hi, Heather, how are you? How's things going today? How can I help you? I say, hey, Lucy, I want to do my next podcast episode, which will be a solo one, on just some things to help people start off with AI and to feel more confident with it. And she'll come back and she'll say, that's a great idea. Let me give you an outline. And then immediately she's talking through the outline. You can use it to brainstorm ideas out loud, talk through a process that you want to document, or you can ask questions about your knowledge base. That's super helpful, because if you're out and about and you don't have everything to hand and you've got a good knowledge base, you can get answers from that. And then get coaching or feedback from one of your custom GPTs. And I'm going to talk about a custom GPT in a minute. And because the AI understands natural speech patterns and responds conversationally, it does feel like you're speaking with a really sharp colleague who remembers everything that you've ever taught them. And here's a really powerful part. With paid plans like ChatGPT Plus and Claude Pro to a degree, these tools remember your previous conversations. Claude has been behind in adding chat search and memory, and it's only just released the memory feature in the past week or so. So it's getting a better, but it's quite a selective memory. So rather than acting as a perfect catalogue of everything you've talked about or shared, which ChatGPT does and has done for some time, Claude just has the ability to reference past chats when it's asked, so you don't have to re-explain yourself. So the feature seems like it could help you pick up a work project after some time away, or query it for the details of a past research session that you don't quite remember. But the key point is that Claude has to be prompted. It doesn't call on past chats unless you specifically ask it to. Whereas on the other hand, ChatGPT Plus learns your preferences, learns your style, learns your goals. You can reference a past idea or a document you created in an earlier chat, and it just picks right up where you left off. It does become an issue if 2 or more people are sharing an account, which I should mention is against their terms of service, but it does happen. And maybe that person is entirely different to you. So you've got to be careful about how you do that. Make sure if you're talking to your ChatGPT assistant and you give it a name, so I call mine Lucy, if I was working with, if I had somebody else who was accessing the account, I would say, hi, Lucy, this is Heather. And Lucy actually has Heather's brand voice trained. So she will reference what I have said as long as I've used my name, and she knows that the past chats are by me and not by anyone else. So the memory feature, particularly in ChatGPT, makes your AI so much more useful the more you use it. It builds continuity, so you're not starting from scratch every time you open a new chat. And you can view and manage what it remembers in your settings, so that gives you more control. So back to the voice, the act of talking instead of typing often surfaces better ideas because you think differently when you speak, and ChatGPT voice helps capture that. So after your session, you can even ask the AI to summarize your conversation, turn your thoughts into a written SOP, a report, a checklist, or even an email draft. To me, it's a productivity game changer. So if you haven't used it yet, I highly recommend giving it a try today. Record yourself walking through some tasks and have AI transcribe it. Start by building just one section. For example, your guest complaint handling SOP. Upload past messages, upload your tone, your ideal resolution steps. And then once it's built, you can start delegating tasks to your AI like you would a team member. So once your knowledge base exists, you're ready to turn your AI into a systems partner. So let's talk SOPs, standard operating procedures. I come back to this one over and over again. Do you know we've been doing a download on SOPs for a number of years, and it's our top downloaded PDF of all time. And I think I last updated it a couple of years ago. And I think it was downloaded 4 or 5 times already last week. We are updating that to include AI. So if you would like to have that updated SOP when it is published, you need to let me know. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can just send me a direct message and say you'd like that SOP when it comes out. I'll make sure I get it sent to you. I'm sure there's probably a better way of, well, you just email me at heather@vacationrentalformula.com and I'll make sure you get that. So your SOPs are your how-to playbooks for the most common and repeatable parts of your business. And I'm sure you know this, but they are sometimes the most difficult things to get out of your head and get down and documented. So things like how to onboard a new property owner, what to do when a guest requests an early check-in, the steps that are taken for turning around a same-day booking, how to review and approve a monthly owner revenue report, something like that. So I want to just go through one complete SOP example and we'll see how this one works. And this one was one we actually did document in our business before I departed it. And it was for handling a new owner inquiry call. In the last 12 months before my business was sold, we were just swamped with new owner inquiries. It's like every day there would be 1 or 2 calls from an owner inquiring about listing their property with us. And we had no real procedure for how that person who was answering the call could respond, rather than just saying, oh, I'll get the account manager for your area to call you back, which was fine. But if the account manager for that area was out or at a meeting or could not get back within the next hour or less, then that owner might be lost, because after they put that phone down, they're going to call somebody else. They're going to call another company. So if I was doing this right now, I'd use ChatGPT voice and I would talk through exactly how this process would be. So I would start with a welcome and reassuring opening, using a warm professional tone and saying something like, thank you so much for reaching out. I'd love to hear more about your property and what you're looking for. And then a series of questions, ask the right questions. And we would say to the AI in voice, we might not ask all these questions because it would really depend on what the prospective owner was looking for, how they sounded. But we might list the questions that could be asked, like what is the property address and what type is it? Is it an apartment, a house, a cottage, a villa? Is the property currently listed elsewhere? Are you listing on Airbnb? Are you listing on VRBO? Or are you using another manager perhaps? How often do you plan to make it available? What are your goals? Are your goals to maximize income? Do you want to use it personally? Is it an investment? Have you worked with a property manager before? And what do you expect from a partnership like this? Now, all these questions may not be asked, but you would put them into the SOP. And then the third one is, how to capture all the information. So you might say, enter all responses into the CRM, or maybe there's a dedicated intake form. And then how to flag urgent follow-ups or flag unique property traits, for example, an ocean view or needs renovations, etc. And then how to set expectations with the caller, saying something like, well, the next step is for our team to review the property details and we'll get back to you with a tailored proposal within a certain amount of time. Or it could be, Okay, my next step is to send you our owner information package. This is what we used to say. Send you our owner information package, and then I'll follow up once you've had a time to look through it. And then, if appropriate, book a follow-up call or a property walkthrough. And then the SOP would then go on to say, so after the call, submit the completed intake form to your sales lead or business development manager, then attach a copy of the call notes and flag any key opportunities. So that SOP, once it's documented, every step of the process gets stored in the knowledge base. Then it's used to train team members and then built in to a GPT assistant. So anyone can say, what do I do if an owner calls to join us? I would have loved to have had this for some of our new staff. So if an owner calls, there's nobody for them to pass the call on to, there would be an SOP on how to handle that call. And the staff member would find that in a custom GPT. It's where AI takes you from reactive to repeatable. So I've talked a little bit about custom GPTs, and so I think I should explain what this is and take a moment to explain the difference between a GPT and a Claude project, which they're very similar, just enough to give you some clarity and confidence to give them a try. So a custom GPT is within ChatGPT. It's a sort of customized version of ChatGPT that you can build for your business. So you could tell it what role it is. For example, a guest messaging assistant or an SOP writer. You tell it what it knows, your knowledge base, so you upload your knowledge base, and how you want it to respond. The tone, the format, the context, etc. You don't need to code anything. So if you open up your ChatGPT and look for GPTs and then create, it will walk you through the process step by step in a chat format. And then you just upload your files, you write instructions, and you even make it shareable with your team. So I have probably a dozen or more assistants. I have an assistant that helps me create questions for my guests on the podcast. So that assistant has a knowledge base of my transcripts of previous podcasts, so it knows the type of questions I like to ask. It knows my tone of voice because it has recordings as well, and it knows how I put my questions, and a lot of other information as well. And then when I say, I am interviewing this person, can you write me a set of questions? It will write questions just as if I had written them myself. I have trained it now to be very, very helpful. So Claude Projects is another AI platform, and that shines when it comes to working with long documents or complex writing. So in Claude, a project's like a smart folder. You upload your SOPs, your company documents, your brand guidelines, and then you can ask it to help you write, organize, or make decisions based on what it knows. So very similar to a custom GPT. But if you're building out a full knowledge base, Claude Projects is incredibly powerful. So here's an important note on what I've been talking about. To use custom GPTs or Claude projects effectively, you'll need a paid subscription. And I advocate that you have at least one paid subscription to one platform. Mine, I have Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity. I think those are the three that I pay for. Really, really worth it. It's not hugely expensive. If you're building systems for your business, free accounts just don't give you what you need. They don't support file uploads, saved instructions, or any of the advanced tools we were talking about. So ChatGPT gives you access. Well, in fact, all free and Plus and Pro and Team versions of ChatGPT give you access to GPT-5, which has just come out in the last few weeks. But the paid version lets you create and share your custom GPTs. Claude requires a Pro account to unlock some of its higher models and to use projects. Also, consider setting up a team account. That way your staff and your co-hosts or virtual assistants could all access the same tools, the same GPTs, and most importantly, the same knowledge base. It can be a little bit pricey, but I'm going to put that into perspective in a minute. Because if your cleaner is using a free ChatGPT, your VA is on Perplexity, you're on Claude, there's no consistency. It becomes fragmented, and it's really impossible to scale your systems in this way. So pick one platform to begin with, commit to using a paid version, and bring your team with you. Now, the cost, even if you invest in a $100 a month team plan for your business, so that's $1,200 a year, but compare that to hiring a virtual assistant or a team member, which could cost, upwards of $25,000 or more annually, depending on their role. With the AI, you're creating digital team members who can work 24/7. They don't take breaks. Da-di-da-di-da. We've heard this all before. They can handle repetitive tasks instantly. But it's not about replacing people. It's about freeing up your human team to do what humans can do and that AI can't. And that's build relationships. They can solve complex problems and help you grow your brand, while the AI is working in the background to do the repetitive stuff. So yes, pay for the tools. That is a fraction of the cost of traditional support, and the ROI will show up fast if you use them intentionally. So in short, back to GPTs and projects, use custom GPTs when you want a shareable assistant that can answer questions or help execute tasks. Use Claude projects when you want deep analysis, any long-form content, or help organizing big chunks of your business knowledge. Both tools are super powerful, so just start with the one that feels the easiest. You can always evolve your setup over time. So next, humanize your AI. I mentioned that. Mine's Lucy. It's fun, giving your AI a persona. If you're creating assistants with custom GPTs, give each one of them a name. Christine, the guest communications manager; Jasper, the revenue strategy coach; or Lily, the owner update writer. You can write a job description. You can give them an intro script. For example, hi, I'm Christine. I help with guest messaging and late checkout SOPs. I'll ask you one question at a time. This really small step helps build trust. It makes the experience more natural for you and your team. So I want to have a quick word on guardrails before we wrap up. I want to touch on something really important, and that's AI guardrails and responsible use of AI. Because yes, it's really powerful. It can help you scale, automate. It can help you simplify your short-term rental business. But let's not forget at any time that these tools only know what we teach them. They have been trained on a whole mass of public information, but that is not always correct. So you do need to monitor what they are outputting all the time. They don't have judgment. They don't have context unless you give it to them. They don't have values unless you tell them what the values are. So they're only as safe as the way you use them. So here's a couple of principles I follow myself. I recommend you do. Privacy. Don't upload sensitive personal or guest information into any public AI. And remember that free LLMs are public. Anything that you upload into them is delivered into their training data. So that will be used to train the model going forward. Double check, as I've said before, your AI outputs. It's helpful. It will hallucinate. It will make things up. Sometimes, not all the time, but you must always review content before sending it out or acting on it. I'd mentioned values earlier on. You've got to teach it your values. When you create a GPT, you include your tone of voice, the cultural sensitivity, and your own brand values in the instructions. This helps it represent your business really well. And stay human-led. Use AI to support your people, not replace them. Let it do the heavy lifting so that your team shines in the areas that only humans can. Empathy, trust, connection, hospitality. We cannot outsource hospitality to AI. It's the humanness that makes magic for our guests. So yeah, we're not going to be replaced in this industry by AI, but we are going to be made more impactful and effective by it. So it's not a magic bullet, but when you use it intentionally and ethically, it can be pretty darned amazing. So let's wrap this up. Next steps, how to learn more. Let's recap on this. Start with one of the 5 quick win AI ideas. Build your knowledge base so that AI understands your business. Use it to help create or refine your SOPs. Give it a name and a role. Make it feel like a helpful team member. I feel odd saying that. Make it feel. It's like, no. Make it be a helpful team member. I do not think that the AI feels. So if you're wondering how to keep learning and how to stay inspired, here's 3 powerful ways to go deeper into this and to make it a full part of your business. Number 1 is easy. Subscribe to AI newsletters, listen to podcasts, and there's some really great ones out there. But don't oversubscribe. If you start subscribing to every AI newsletter you come across, your inbox will be absolutely inundated. So I recommend the AI Explored podcast, which is great for use cases like we covered today, but then more generic. AI Explored comes from the Social Media Examiner platform. So it's a lot more on marketing than anything else, but really, really useful. I also subscribe to Everyday AI, which is a daily podcast. And that keeps me up to date on news, and I really enjoy that one. And the other one is Superhuman. That's been around for quite a while. It's another free newsletter. So just pick what resonates. Don't try and learn it all at once. Just stay gently plugged in, and remember, keep AI first. You can also join our Straight Chat community, and this is where we go out and do this stuff so that you don't have to, and we just bring back all the information that helps you out. It's where we have hosts and managers that are just like you, exploring AI tools, sharing experiments and trying things out and getting support. We talk about real use cases, not just theory. Right now, it's just $9 a month, and we're charging that for our first 100 members. And that price is locked in for life as long as you stay a member. Even if prices rise later, which they will after we get to our first 100 members, your rate's going to stay at $9 a month. It's a really low-cost, high-value way to stay accountable, to stay inspired, and move forward with AI confidently. We're currently creating a number of short videos on topics like I've just been discussing today, to just give you some bite-sized tutorials to learn about different things, learn about the different models. You know, when should you use Perplexity? When should you use Gemini? When should you use Notebook LM? So that's upcoming. And then thirdly, become an AI ambassador. The AI ambassador course is an 8-week hands-on program for short-term rental professionals who want to understand how AI works under the hood, but in plain English. They want to get better at prompting and building tools. They want to audit and map out where AI fits into a short-term rental business and how they identify the bottlenecks and the pain points that AI can really fix. You'll learn how to build out AI systems and role assistance, taking what I've been talking about today and doing the practical stuff and actually doing it. And then learn how to introduce AI to your team with clarity and leadership. One of the reasons we're doing this is that learning AI is not like learning customer service or even learning, revenue management. It's not something that you can learn today and then just do an update in, let's say, a year's time. AI changes every single day, and something new comes along every single week. So if we did a course that said, this is what you need to know about AI, it would be out of date in 3 months' time. So what we decided to do was to build the AI Ambassador course, which allows one person or two people in a company to become the cheerleader for AI, to become the chief AI officer, if you like, in that company. And they're the ones that have been taught how to find that new information, how to adapt it, how to use it, and how to share it. So we're really excited about the AI Ambassador course. Just ideal if you want to become the go-to AI person in your business, whether you're solo or you're leading a small team. But you'll come out of the program with real tools, with templates, and with systems that you can use right away. If you want to know more about any of these things, go to vacationrentalformula.com/AI, and everything is there. And if you want to know more about the Ambassador Program and you'd like to talk directly to me, have a 10 or 15 minute conversation about what this is and how it can be helpful for you, you can email heather@vacationrentalformula.com. You can use a contact form on the website, and we'll get back to you and set up a conversation. I'd love to be talking to you about AI, because that's all I seem to be. My husband says that's all you talk about these days. Yeah, I've got the bug. This is here to stay, folks, and I plan to be up there at the front as it grows. So that's it for this episode. You've got the tools, you've got the plan, you've got the inspiration. Now take the next small step. And remember, AI does not replace you, it multiplies you. So thank you for listening. I'll catch you in the next episode. It's been a pleasure as ever being with you. If there's anything you'd like to comment on, then join the conversation on the show notes for the episode at vacationrentalformula.com. We'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to being with you again next week.